So it's been months since I did our last sort of comprehensive COVID update about where we are. And sadly, the reason I'm doing such a segment today is that many signs don't look good. And there's every indication that another spike could be coming. Now, there's still the possibility that that's not the case. And I'll talk about what that looks like in a moment, but we will get to that. There is a argument to be made that in general, cases are no longer really the best indicator of the status of the pandemic, that we should be looking at hospitalizations and deaths, et cetera. And I think that there's something to that, but still, cases are a leading indicator of hospitalization and death. The question is just to what degree. Now, none of us want another spike, but unfortunately, it does appear as though one is coming. And there is evidence from other countries suggesting this. And unfortunately, there's also evidence from the United States. And as always, I am always going to report to you the way things are, not the way I wish things would be. So first and foremost, if we look at global cases, what has been a massive decline from nearly 4 million cases a day down well under 2 million cases a day has reversed. Now, this is global. So we got down to a lower point and global cases are now starting to go up. Now, they're not going up in the United States yet, although I will argue that they actually are. And if you look at the right data, that you can see that. But where are we seeing actual recorded case numbers increase? Well, first and foremost, Germany. And they're not only going up a little bit. 2 days ago, Germany had the most new cases in a single day of the entire pandemic. It's exhausting. I know it's exhausting, but about 300,000 cases in a single day in Germany, a pandemic record. You look at Finland. Finland, since about mid-January, has individually seen some higher case days. And if you look now at the 7-day rolling average of new cases in Finland, it is at a pandemic high. If you look at the United Kingdom, massive decline. Remember, at the peak of Omicron, the UK was seeing about 200,000 known cases per day, about 210, 220. That got all the way down below 50K. And now has gone back up by about double. I mean, the UK has almost now doubled daily cases from that bottoming out we saw at the beginning of March. That's really not good because so far in the pandemic, everything that's happened in the UK has happened in the US a little bit later. And then you look at Iceland, which, I mean, the entire pandemic looks like almost nothing compared to the current 2,500 cases a day that Iceland is seeing, essentially at a pandemic high 7-day average. And lastly, if you look at, I actually forget where this is. It doesn't say. I believe that this is, where is this? This is somewhere in Asia. I was trying to give a perspective globally. I did not even include what country this is. A new high. I think. Wow, I don't remember where that is. We'll get that information. So, okay, cases are going up elsewhere, but they're not going up in the U.S., right? Well, not exactly. In the United States, as I've told you before, wastewater COVID readings can be a leading indicator even earlier than cases about the direction that things are going. And although Dr. Vincent Racaniello, not last time he was on with us, said the wastewater data is not an exact science, it is still a generally speaking leading indicator. And there's an article in Bloomberg, U.S. sewer data warns of a new bump in COVID cases after lull. Data from wastewater can spot a rise in infections before it shows up in positive tests. And unfortunately, it's not looking good. More than a third of the CDC's wastewater sample sites across the U.S. show rising COVID trends from March 1 to March 10. Even though cases remain at a record low, the number of sites with rising signals of COVID is nearly twice what it was during the February 1 to 10 period. It's not clear how many new infections the signs in the sewage represent and if they will turn into a new wave, or will it be just a brief bump on the way down from the last one? So obviously, we all hope that this is going to be maybe a leveling out in the United States and then we continue down, or maybe a slight uptick. The unfortunate thing is, if we're totally honest and transparent, if you look at what's starting to happen in other countries, it doesn't bode particularly well. Now, everything's wide open. Even though you still have people protesting mandates and closures in the United States, there essentially are none. Everything's open, everything's happening. And quite frankly, I don't know what should be taking place right now. There is such, I mean, it's been more than 2 years now of this, almost to the day. It's been 2 years and a week or something like that of this at this point in time. The political will to continue having things shut down is almost completely gone. The social motivation to do it is almost completely gone. The infection fatality rate is significantly lower. That doesn't mean that if things get completely out of control in cases, people aren't going to die. They are. And I am not in a position where I am going to say, close everything. We now know that close everything is too broad a strategy. And we know that close everything in many cases didn't even really achieve what we wanted it to achieve. But do nothing also doesn't make sense if we see another spike. So we're going to be following the data. We're going to be tracking what happens. Particularly the UK numbers are not looking good. And so far, everything that happens in the UK happens here 4 to 6 weeks later. So my expectation is that by April 1st, we are going to see higher cases in the US than we see right now. Why do I think that? Because it's already in the wastewater data. It's already there. There's no way it would be any other way. The question is it just a little bump plateau and then we continue down or not? And I don't know the answer to that. Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night helps you sleep. I can't sleep in a hot room. That's why I love our sponsor, Chili Sleep, which makes customizable climate-controlled sleep solutions to sleep better. Their flagship products are the Uller sleep system and the Cube sleep system, which is what I have. Both are hydro-powered, temperature-controlled luxury mattress pads. You can make them as cold as 55 degrees Fahrenheit. If you wanted, you could go as hot as 115 degrees. I like the cooler option. I keep mine at 60 degrees, and it gives me a great cool night of sleep. No feeling hot, no more sweating. I'm falling asleep faster, and it pairs perfectly with Chili Sleep's weighted Chili Blanket, which keeps you cold on top, too. And for a limited time, Chili Sleep has a special offer just for my audience. Go to chilisleep.com/Pacman to learn about the exclusive discount. The link is down below.